Gaston to me is one of the best villains.
That's a good point.
Ever made.
Let's take the facts into account here. Was he the town hero?
He was actually keeping all of these monsters at bay at great personal cost.
I mean,
and then like you cut back and like Belle is just like, should have married him. We should have made little Gastons to keep us safe in the future.
That sounds like a sitcom we should write.
After Gaston.
Hey, Jamie.
Good job.
Hey, Tangent. Hey, Hojin. Thank you for being with us tonight. We are talking about title card number 1. Here we go. I made title cards.
Oh,
Boom.
shit. Look at this production value.
What makes a good villain in a D&D game? Let's start with you, Cullen.
I mean, what makes you hate someone, right? Because that's what makes a good villain. You have to viscerally absolutely hate the person. Oh, feel free to chime in. I see you shaking your head over there. I see you shaking your head.
It's too early. It's too early.
It's too early. There's no stoppage time. This isn't okay. No, I think in all honesty, the first and foremost thing that and we've touched on this before, but the first and foremost thing that makes a villain good is that there needs to be a connection. And obviously I leaned into hate, right? But it doesn't have to be hate, but there needs to be a connection. If you're so many times you pick up a module, you pick up whatever story you're writing, and the players, they don't give a shit about the big bad. They just don't. They're like, we have to save the world. And you're like, you do, because you're here. And if, otherwise we'd just be drinking and we wouldn't have an excuse to do that. We'd just be drinking, and that's not a great look. So how do you get them? And this is the real question, I think. How do you get that connection? And what were you going to say, James? What were you going to jump down my throat?
That was the point I was going to make, actually.
Yeah, I knew it. I could read it in your eyes.
You just need they need a connection, and I think they need to challenge the players in some way. Those are like the two things. One, you have to get the players to care, which is the big part. And two, I mean, the villain has to challenge the players in some way, I think. And
right.
That's an important part, right? Like, if the big bad is just like a goblin and you're level 10 characters. A Gorblin. And you're level 10 characters, right? Like, how does a goblin challenge them? That can have a connection to him, but how does he challenge them? And that's got to be... Because it doesn't have to be physically, right? And what if it's like...
No, it shouldn't be. Ideally.
He's hidden treasure and you need it, and he's the only one who knows where it is, right?
Right.
Now you need this guy, and you might be able to beat it out of him. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he's a masochist. We just don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm just
like,
saying,
oh God, he's just getting more and more erect. Stop beating him. You know that would happen in my campaign too. You're like, we'll just beat it out of him, and he's like, oh yes you will. Oh Lord.
Is that what your goblins sound like?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, dear me.
Oh heavens,
I seem to have become fate.
That's another thing too. Not to get too off topic, but subverting players' expectations of like what a consequential individual should look or sound like is just always fun. Mm-hmm. Like if they go deep into the goblin cave and they've met some some Gorblins that were at the like the dumb ones that were like on guard duty out front, right? And they're just like, oh yeah, well, and they're just poking each other with sharp sticks, like ow, right? And then they come in and like they kill them all because that's what they do, and they finally ascend up into the heart of the Gorblin cave, and there's just like an Elvis throne up there, and this Gorblin is just sitting there, and it's like, well, how do? And they'd be like, I'm sorry, what? Oh no. You didn't come into my cave. You know what I mean? It's like now the worst case scenario, you've humanized them, right? And now they have to kill this guy or deal with him, and he's a character in their mind already, which can be helpful. But that's off topic. No,
what we're talking about
is villains.
what makes a good villain. I mean, a good villain you don't have to hate. I mean, you don't even have to hate a villain. You could really like a villain. Someone could be very compelling, but then you have to understand. Like, if you understand where someone's coming from, right? Like, I have to kill these people to do X, right? And you're like, well, you really shouldn't be killing these people. We understand why you want to kill all these hordes of people to make an army of the dead or something. I don't know.
As I'm fond of saying, these orphans aren't going to feast on themselves.
Yeah. But what are some tricks or things that you use? Mine is always my go-to to just, if I'm like, crap, I need these people to hate this villain right away. My go-to is always like killing children. That's my that's the easiest one, right? You're like, he killed a child. That's the
I mean, that's
instant,
that's pretty lowbrow. That's pretty lowbrow. Like, it's gonna work every time. Let's be serious. Even if you've got a psycho at the table that might be like, yeah, hey man, what's so bad with killing? They're not gonna want to look like a psycho at the table. So even they'll be like, oh yeah, no, this guy's terrible. Yeah, this guy over here killing kids. They look at their character sheet like, maybe we won't reveal that. But yeah, no, I mean that's bread and butter right there. That's meat and potatoes. The child meat and little child kidney potatoes.
What other ways?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what is it? Like, what's the more refined way? I think one of the most refined is like the betrayal, right? They've relied on this individual, and then it's like the old shoop de whoop, and you pull the carpet out from under them. It can always be fun. It takes time though, and sometimes it's like. Yeah, and like you'll need some sort of big bad or some MacGuffin or whatever. In the interim, it's like that's one that can only really come back around, right? Like it's built into the thing. They need to know them or think they know them, but that can be incredibly rewarding.
I've had great success, especially with Bobby, just being a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
So I think it's easy. D&D is one of those games where people, like most people in real life, I feel like shy away from confrontation, right? Like if someone's crazy or someone's mean or something on the train. Sorry, if someone like you're on the subway.
Okay, we're on the train now. For those of you that weren't paying super close attention.
Yeah. Someone's a jerk to you. You can look at them and you can be like, I don't know if this person's crazy. Yeah. You be a jerk, and I will just walk away. Right.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing about D&D that I dislike. That in my campaigns, I'm always trying to change. Everyone walks around, at least not everyone, but most players walk around like getting into a physical altercation with a stranger isn't a big deal. In reality, it's like the most frightening thing in the world. Yeah, it's like
terrifying. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it's honest to God, it's how the world like actually works, right? It's the way muggings usually go down. It's like it's someone's just like, give me your shit, and you do the instant calculus of like, how much shit do I have on me? Yeah. I'll just give him my shit, because you don't know if this person, like to you or me, maybe not Bobby, but you or me, James, like we wouldn't consider just killing someone, right? Like we wouldn't be like from zero to kill someone. Now, that's why we keep him in the cup. That coffee is cold when he goes in there. He heats it himself. Just internal rage. But you don't know where like that whole calculus of like, are you ready to die for this? Is because for them they could be like, ready to go, baby.
My question
ready to go.
And as a side note, Melissa says commitment makes a good villain.
Commitment,
like the idea, or like
marriage. Do they have to be married?
I wouldn't know. You wouldn't. That's for you
know.
Too. But like, what are ways, like, because I know if you could be a jerk, you can be a jerk to somebody in D&D, and it more times than not leads to a physical altercation, right? Because in D&D, people they're bold adventurers and warriors, right? And obviously, you don't,
ideally,
if you didn't have to, You're not gonna let people just be an asshole to you, right?
No.
So like, if you were gonna try and set up a villain who's a bit of a rude, crude person, how do you set that up without having a giant blowout from the very first instant?
Right. Yeah.
Do you have a blowout from the very first instant? That's the stakes are low. No one's pulling out daggers or anything like that. It's just
but you can't rely on your players to not. Like, I think maybe myself, I'm the only one in James, your group, who would like maybe hesitate to be like, well, it's deadly force. I've been crossed verbally, and now deadly force is on the table. And like Bobo's just dropping fireballs and pups picking people up, putting them on the top of trees and then dropping them. You know what I mean? Like I don't think you can rely, and this is the problem with DMing, of course. You've always got to like count on your players being psychos, right? Like you have to have a plan for when they decide to go just war the way the Romans did, you know, like total war over a stub toe or like, you know, medieval Nikes or whatever. It's like, so building that thing, and that's what I'm talking about. That's my previous point about like in real life, you don't know if someone's gonna fucking stab you, and that's terrifying. It's almost like in D&D, the DM is the one that's not sure if the players are gonna stab anybody.
No, I was gonna say that. I was gonna say the players are afraid the DM's gonna stab them constantly. They're just always like waiting for it. Like, okay, when's it gonna happen?
Yeah. But as soon as they get comfortable, now they're just like, well, okay, so Bobby, you're not wrong. And all of a sudden now the only option is the preemptive strike, right? Like they're just in Iraq immediately. Just, they're in there. Done. Drop of a hat.
Yeah.
So would it be better, setup wise, if you were trying to make a villain unlikable, find maybe the guy's a jerk to an NPC? Or another.
Oh yeah, that can always that's always good, right? And especially someone
you walk into a bar,
punching
you see
down.
Somebody.
It's just like the rules of comedy, right? Like things are funny when you're punching up. Things are like not funny when you're punching down, right? It doesn't feel good. You use that, right? Like punching down, and that I think that's why the killing children works. Like, is there any stronger down punch than killing a child? I would say maybe not, right?
Yeah,
so like
maybe some extreme hypothetical, but no.
Right. It's pretty much the ultimate like punching down.
Killing the baby, yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, babies are children. They're just very small children. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the whole thing. Setup. Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing too is depending on the campaign, depending on your players too, is like I mean, if you've played or know these people, if they're your friends, you know their triggers, right? Ideally, like you know their personal triggers. Like if they just hate fucking schmarmy people, then there you go. Like you've got a schmarmy person, or just like someone who like just talk over them. Like if they fucking just hate being talked over, and your villain just constantly is just like they're like, so what we were doing? Yeah, I know what you do. So right, it's like,
that's something I used against on Bobby. With it. There was a character we had called the Magus, and he would just interrupt Bobby halfway through and be like,
yeah, it was so frustrating.
And I felt so bad. Like I felt bad.
Yeah, I felt bad. I was just watching it, and I was like, "Oh, he's doing this on purpose. Oh, this feels terrible."
I mean, he wasn't a villain though. It made for a kind of good comedy of like this guy who's like a new wizard talking to this like super old wizard. You know, it was good.
True, but at the same time, like not everyone has to be an arch villain, right? Like he can be. We don't know what that dude's up to in that tent. In all honesty, he could be up to some fucked up shit, right? And also, like, there's shades of villainy, right? There's like, and that it feels like too strong a word, right? A villain, but like, you know, somebody that kicks dogs. Like, have they committed genocide? No, but they kick dogs. Like, they're a villain
every day.
Right? They
just find a dog.
Like every day, they're like, oh, there's one. Yeah, you know, like that. But like that's villainous behavior. So you have to like that guy. He was being somewhat villainous to you, right? It's more of like a feeling that they put off, and it's just like, oh wow, you are, because he felt, honest to God, he felt like a sociopath. Like he felt like, and I mean, I think that's one of the beauty of portraying elves, because he was elven, right? Elvish.
Yeah,
Elven.
he was an elven.
Yeah, he was elven. So like that's a fun way to utilize elves, because like honest to God, like you live forever, or however you're playing it, you live for so damn long. Like someone who lives for 80 years, you're like, dude, I'm gonna fucking take a shit. When I come back, you're gonna be dead. I don't care about you. You know what I mean? Like, and just not gonna. So they can be psychos. But it's like culturally allowed, because like because they're just elves. They're weird like that.
Because the setup was that we were bringing our friend who was like catatonic to him, and being like, "Hey, can you save this guy's life?" And he was just kind of like, no, I don't really feel like it. Or just like, wait, like.
Yeah, but I mean, in all reality, like because I mean, in his mind, he's like, okay, he dies now, or he dies. Yeah. Midway through my shit, like it doesn't matter when he dies. It's going to be soon, because like I'm not even old yet, and I'm old enough that like a year goes by like this now. I can't imagine what it would be like to be 1,000. If you were 1,000, a year would literally feel like, well, like a shit. You know what I mean? So
and since we're talking about gray areas, and this will be more of an opinionated thing, I think there's like two ways of going about villains, and I think Cullen, you and I are a little bit more gray. This is my like Gollum versus Sauron argument, right? Okay. Gollum arguably is a villain in Lord of the Rings, and Sauron, you know, is also a villain in Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sauron is like comically evil, just raises these orcs out of the literal mud to just kill everybody, and you're like, why are you killing everyone? And like I maybe just didn't
here's the thing,
and I don't remember, but I'm like, he just wants to kill everybody to own everything, like.
Well, but that's the thing, is like he seems so comically evil because he's not relatable to us, but Gandalf, who's fucking one of the or whatever they call them, he could probably honestly relate. It's the same when like Galadriel is like, oh, I want that ring. I might take it. Fucking baller scene where she's like, I will be the most fucking badass right? And like to her, she understands. She can probably understand Sauron, right? Which is why you need sort of them in this story to make him even slightly relatable to the players, to the hobbits, right? But otherwise, Smeagol.
That's a good point.
Gollum.
Though. So then, if you did have like a Sauron style enemy who's like, I'm the mega lord of the universe, is it important to have those characters at least midway, like the demigods, who explain to the mortals why they're doing what they're doing? Like,
absolutely necessary.
I mean, I think that's one of the most important parts of a good villain.
And also, it's the most difficult thing.
Why are you doing this?
Right,
what makes you do
right.
this? Like, I always
because
Gaston to me is one of the best villains.
That's a good point.
Ever made, and you just from the very get go, he has a whole song about how much he loves himself. Right. Yeah. And you're just like, wow, we know that this guy just loves himself so much and will do anything, literally anything, to make himself seem cooler or better or whatever, right? Right. And so the whole movie, you're just like, we know why he's doing this. It's his ego, you know?
Yeah. No, exactly. So he's instantly relatable and despisable, but like you get him right off the bat. Which is so important. And if you're going to have, and I think this ties back to exactly what we were saying at the very beginning, like you need to make them, the players understand this individual so that they can hate them specifically, right? Like that's what's so important.
Well, that kind of leads into my question, actually. And we probably should move on to the next topic soon because we're like halfway through the episode already.
Are
somehow. Yeah, it's already like 6:36.
How does that happen? How does that happen?
But what I wanted to ask you before we moved on, though, like for you guys, Gaston's a good example of this. It's like Gaston is again like kind of comically vain. You know, he's a very easily hateable character. As DMs, though, like, do you guys find it like better or worse to make like your villains like complex, like have a lot going on and like really kind of make it so that the characters are really like kind of interweaved into their story as well? Or is it like better to have a very like,
it's the most
evil person?
No, ideally, you want them to know this person. Even if it's from afar, you want them to know their deeds. You want them to know their history. You want them ideally to have interacted with them multiple times, hopefully. But like, that's fucking hard. Especially when you never know where your fucking players are gonna go, what they're gonna do, right? Like and that's why you need to constantly be looking for opportunities to cross those streams, right? To make them all of a sudden show up and be present in the players' lives, because otherwise, they're coming from afar, and it's so easy to be like, oh, okay, yeah, they're bad. They're bad. I mean, to go back to Gaston, like if we had seen him use his fantastic strength to save a child that had been crushed under a wagon, right? It would have made us like, oh, well, even if he was only doing it because a bunch of hot chicks were watching, he was like, well, you want to watch someone lift a wagon off of a child? No one likes baby killers. Ah! Right? Like it would humanize him. And all of a sudden now you're like, I mean, that's kind of one of the problems with, I think, maybe fairy tales in general, is they don't delve into the nuance. Because like,
I mean, is that for D&D, right?
Right.
I think that could be a good thing. Sometimes some groups that I've played with, and I agree, sometimes it's fun to just have, this guy's evil, I don't want to feel bad about killing them or
no.
Anything like that. Like, I just want to feel good. Like, I have done something wholly good by removing this person of power. Right?
Yeah, and you're not wrong, because that is one of those things that D&D can provide that the real world really can't, because the real world is only gray, right? It's all gray all the time. Way more than 50 of the shades. So yeah, it's cathartic to be like, you know what's bad? That guy I just killed. Yeah. You know what's not bad?
That dragon ate
him anymore.
Thousands of people all the time. It was also a jerk and liked to eat 50 eggs and dance and sing songs about himself.
Right. It's like, God, he could sing though.
Gaston, the dragon.
Yeah, do you like imagine like the town after Gaston dies? They're just all like bummed out. Like, I wish that guy was still alive, man.
Wow. But really honestly, boring now.
Honest to God, like look back, and I haven't seen it in years, but I feel like it's ingrained in my memory. Brandon, everyone in that fucking tavern was having a great time when he was doing his fucking one-man show.
Yeah. What was
not everyone.
Name?
Like he was definitely like that's who I was about to say. Like he was beating up on his sidekick.
Football captain of the town, where he's just like really popular and handsome.
But like
everybody loves him. But like this one girl's like, this guy's an asshole. I hate this guy. You know. But
and he's like, and she will be my love.
Because you think about it too, like if you look at the rest of that town, though, everyone looked really like downtrodden, kind of looking.
Did they? Well, no.
His sidekick was like this really goofy looking guy. So honestly, if you walked around that town and you were just like, who am I going to be friends with? You're like, he's kind of a douche, but like slim pickings.
But he's my douche.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take the facts into account here. Was he the town hero? Because like, didn't he have like a bunch of like beasts he had killed for the town? Of like, I don't know. Like,
I don't remember. I'm assuming sure
killed, but all right. All right.
There should be a one
Had
shot.
he?
Like, after Gaston dies, it's like a one shot of like the town now needs heroes to protect.
Right. Yeah. He was actually keeping all of these monsters at bay, like at great personal cost. And like, no wonder his he had become so inflated in his self-value. He had literally saved this town dozens of times. Women, children, feeble men, able men, all saved by Gaston's brute strength and charm. Yeah. And then like you cut back and like, it's just Belle is just like fucking, everyone's got a dead. Oh God, if only we had a Gaston. Right?
What was I thinking?
Yeah.
I mean,
I should have married him. We should have made little Gastons to keep us safe in the future.
that sounds like a sitcom we should write.
After Gaston.
Oh gosh. All right.
Oh,
Sorry.
man.
Next topic.
All right.
Next topic. Sorry.
Next topic. Updating. Topic number 2 today. Why are all PCs' backstories tragic? And kind of like why that's not really a problem.
Nice. Yeah. Center it. There you go. Nice.
Yep.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's not really.
That's part of the animation.
Absolutely. Oh, okay. I thought, Bobby, you were saying it was part of the tradition. Well, everyone has a tragic backstory because it's tradition. That's just what we do. No. Well, here's the thing. One, I think it's easy, right? Like, what's the easiest way to be like, well, I have to go on a mission? And you have to be like, well, why do I have to go on this mission? Because Gaston's dead. because my town hero died. Right?
The town hero was killed, and now it's up to me to fill his boots.
It's easy and it's fun, and you can just slip into the role. Like my entire town was killed. Oh, how? Oh, just beasts that Gaston couldn't keep us safe from. It's so easy and straightforward. Like I get it. I tend to ask my players, like, and we'll meet up and talk about backstory beforehand, to just be like go into nuance, bring someone that cares about certain things and not other things. And mainly the main reason I do it is because it gives me more to work with, because we play long campaigns. It gives me more to be like, oh, when we finally get to your town, I'm going to know a lot about what you do and don't like. I don't have to pull it all from whole cloth, and I don't have to just be like, you arrive in town and there is the large headstone of Gaston. And below it, the bones of all the children he couldn't save. No one even buried them. And it's like...
Nell actually brings up a good point. Yeah. Kind of like what... This ties in. She says, mine wasn't tragic until I met the party. Which
go on.
Can be, okay, Melissa, it was a little tragic before you met the party. You were in prison going to a death labor camp, but
that wasn't her story, was it?
Well, you were all imprisoned on your way to a death labor camp.
Yeah, but that wasn't our backstory. Do you know what I mean? Like that was literally where the story began. So it's technically not backstory.
There was a little bit.
I'm in your corner. Let me be your Gaston.
But do you leave things for like? Is it more fun to play some of this stuff in game, to go through these things with the shared group? I feel like it makes the group stronger. You know what I mean?
To have tragedy befall the group and then that be their combined backstory?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Like, absolutely. But that's gonna happen either way. This isn't. We're not going easy.
The helm. It will be. I think the other point. Tosin brings up the other point, though. Like, a satisfied person is not the type that needs to go on an adventure.
Yeah.
Somebody think about who's willing to go and fight a dragon. Not
Bill Gates.
Yeah. Bill Gates and
he just wants
Bezos.
to fight mosquitoes.
You think Jeff Bezos is going to go fight a dragon? No. He's going to find a bunch of delivery drivers to go fight his dragon.
Talk about subverting expectations. Have you heard him speak?
Yes.
He had the cowboy hat on after he went to space, and I was like, that is what you sound like? Amazing. I don't know why it's just, I don't know. Anyway, it's just a callback. Make them sound weird. Make them all sound weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, what were you saying? Sorry, I got so distracted remembering what he sounded like.
I was just saying, like, somebody who's satisfied is not going to go on a large adventure. Someone who has a family and is like the sole provider is generally not going to be like, well, I'm going to go roll the dice in a cave of wonders.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, but it doesn't have to necessarily be tragic, right?
It doesn't. But so let's talk a little bit about like what you gain and what you lose by not having a tragic backstory. Because I think what you're saying is like if you have a family, say you have a wife and 2 little kids, and you got swept up, and there wasn't a way to provide for them other than this very, very, very dangerous, adventurous lifestyle, and you found that this is something you're good at. So you're like, I do it because this is the only way I know how to provide. You know, that could be that's tragic in its own way. But
my dad was a dragon hunter, and his dad before that a dragon hunter, and that's how we put bacon on the table. Dragon bacon.
But that makes your character vulnerable. I think this is one of the big things about tragic backstories is it plugs up all the gaps, and if you have no one you care about, you're bulletproof emotionally from a certain point of view. You know what I mean? Like Crit Role had in their first campaign. There you go. Look at Bobby's ears are popping up now.
Look at him. Huge.
First campaign they had, what was it, Vex and Vax? Were those the 2? Was that their names?
Yeah.
Brother and
siblings.
sister. And I thought that was a really fun dynamic because these are 2 people who obviously were like, I will die before I let the other one die.
Yeah.
Right? And they were very vulnerable characters for villains, for Matt Mercer to like attack. He attacks one, he's basically attacking both of them. Like, the other one's going to come with a vengeance, right? So like, it was kind of interesting to have that dynamic, and I think it can be really fun. I guess it just goes into like, some people don't want to feel vulnerable and slog through gray areas of morality.
I mean, let's be serious. A lot of people don't, and it's perfectly legitimate. I just personally, I'm like, yeah, everything's gray, baby. It's all gray out here. It's all gray. But yeah, and that's why you just talk to your players beforehand and be like, what kind of, that's like literally the first kind of question that should be asked. Like, what kind of campaign do you want? Do you guys just want to be murder hobos? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Because we can give you that. You know, you can just have towns full of hobos. And you've just got nothing but sharp implements and time. You know, sharp implements and time. That would be like the memoir of most D&D groups. But yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, so if it's too tragic, there's no levers to pull, is what you're saying, right?
Well, I mean, do you think like you gain something? You know. I don't know if you guys have ever played D&D before, and the game
once or
is
twice
really silly and fun. It's just goofy and silly and fun. I feel like most games get to this goofy, ridiculous point, right? At some point in the campaign. And I almost feel like you do yourself a disservice sometimes when you make yourself... If you're playing the kind of game where you like to keep like mindsets clear and you like to really RP, like it can be sometimes annoying if you're playing like I'm just going on this adventure to kill one man who destroyed my family, and then you're like, well, we're over here like we're trying every beer in this entire place and it's called 250 flavors. Like,
right.
Here we go. And you're like, I don't drink. I need to keep my head clear. So when I see this 6-fingered man, I can kill him. Like,
right. And I mean, that's why players need to be giving, right? And the table needs to be cohesive, because like, I think ideally every table, every story goes through those sorts of like, oh, we're in a serious part. And then everyone just needs some like, and we usually just make them shopping episodes, right? It's like, okay, we just need a fucking break from that shit. and sometimes it's like, yeah, we go fishing and we collect comically weird fish or whatever, right?
Or like crawling.
Yeah, exactly. So if your players aren't, and that's why you just need to be, all your players need to be reading the table. Everyone needs to be reading the table all the time, right? And if it's like, yeah, I'm being Batman right now at Disneyland. I shouldn't be Batman. Mickey Mouse just comes out and just beats you with a billy club. She's like, get out of here, Batman. This place is for fun.
Granted, I haven't been back since Star Wars Land was made, so I do want to go see that.
There you go. It's actually it's very cool. That's very cool. Yeah, but it's that's you gotta read the room, right?
You got to read the room. And also, I think it's when you start off, I feel like a lot of players, it becomes this competition of like who has the most dramatic backstory. Yeah. It becomes almost like kind of ridiculous at points where you're just like, okay, come on. Like your entire family was like died in this war. And like now you're, I don't know, it's like, and you're a princess. I don't know, like what's going on with the story. Anyway,
that's the other thing too. That's a good point. It's like, how many coincidences can this one individual have? And look, most
first
stories,
level player, like
right, but like, well, that's the other thing too, Bobby. You're right, because it's like, where do you go from that, right? Like, if you have all of that shit that's already happened to you, and you're already also these, the Duke of Mayonnaise, like, it's where do you go? Can you ascend? Is there a higher level of Duke, or can you fall from grace, I guess? Or do you know what I mean? It's like I feel like the Earl of Ketchup.
I have risen. I feel like if you just like look at your backstory and see if it is comically. My favorite example of this, and they make fun of it, is Robin Hood Men in Tights. He's like, "What about my sister? Oh, she died of the plague. What happened to my mom? Died taking care of your sister. What happened to my dog? Oh, your mother. That's how she died. She tripped on the dog and fell down the stairs. What happened to my cat? Oh, eaten by the dog. What happened to the cat? Or my goldfish. Oh, eaten by the cat. Oh, what was it? Eaten by the cat. And then he's like, what about my cat? Choked on the goldfish. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, I guess the story's over.
Watch that scene and then look at your backstory, and if it follows a similar trajectory, you're like, I can do one better than this. It can still be tragic, but
yeah, but also like I think there's something to be said for bringing kind of like an every man or an every woman to, that might just be in slightly extreme circumstances, right? It's maybe not tragic, but like, they just have a reason. The family farm is going to be seized, right? Because they haven't paid taxes or whatever. And they're like, I just have to get out and I have to make some money. Okay. And that opens the world to like, well, how do you want to make, I don't give a shit. Let's just make some money. They're like, well, there's a town over there full of hobos and we've got knives. I'm like, do the hobos have money? Tons. Well then, yeah, let's go. It's like there's a lot there. It opens you up and it gives you like a sort of like well, how much is this thing worth to you? Versus being so extreme, like my whole family was killed by the tax man. It's like, have the tax man be looming. Maybe he threatens your family, right? Don't start with them already dead, because it's a wonderful lever to be like, yeah, your family's dead. Like,
but even that could be a really fun way to start, like a campaign.
My mother's side of my family.
Like, the tax man is putting a squeeze on the town, right? Just take it one step back.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, just rewind
have the opportunity to save or not save the party, and that could be a really great starting off point, right?
Yeah.
And the good thing about that is if they save their family and they realize they hate the character they're playing, they can just pivot there, right? Be like, I'm going to stay with my family.
Right. No, exactly. Exactly. And as a DM, you should always be open to that too. Like if someone's playing a character, they've whipped up a backstory, they're playing a character and they're like, I'm not having fun with this. Be like, oh, great. Yeah. They fuck off. They find then the next time we play, they will find a cart that was just full of all the things they ever needed, and they will just sit in it and go away. And you know who they're going to trade that cart for? your new character. And it's like those sorts of things. It's like, I feel like you can do that and really not break anyone's, being like, the world is crap now because there was a cart with all his dreams on it that just showed up and now he's gone and this guy here's here. Oh, and also, and this is only tangentially related, why must all the players always haze the new character? Like, always, just someone comes back, it's still your friend at the table, and they're like, I don't know about this guy. Ooh, this guy seems pretty fucking. It's like you get on he is in the party now, man. Okay, whether you like it or not.
Part too is like, hey, you. Tell me about the last 10 years of your life.
Yeah.
We'll let you come with us. Like
the first time. I know.
You've been pledging, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what we're saying is, Gethrun, I think, nailed it. Write your tragic backstory, and then maybe play the, step back from that ledge, my friend. I don't even know the lyrics. What's that?
You don't know? No, yeah. Just say anything.
I can't sing either. So play that song, and then maybe you take a step back.
And then the chorus, everyone remembers. I wouldn't understand, right? I wouldn't understand. Yeah, everyone knows that song. Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Pete says he's still being hazed. Which brings us to our next segment. We're going to go to a quick break. We're going to use the bathroom. And when we come back, we're going to be joined by Reed Horstmann.
He's back.
Week,
he's back. We didn't haze him enough last week.
He didn't.
And we get to really.
This is the problem, Reed. You just keep coming back. And we're like, oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
I mean, you kick a man enough times, you assume he'd leave at some point, right?
The bully keeps stealing my lunch money.
Times, and he gets used to being kicked. He gets so tough that it doesn't even.
Yeah. Boy named Sue.
Welcome back, everybody. We are joined with our good friend, Reed Horstmann.
He's up there.
Actor, gunslinger, and
all-around moron.
Paisley,
up on the Projectotron 9000. Well, this is an older model.
Is that the technical?
It's probably
the
Projectotron 8800.
Yeah. It's good to have you, though. It's good to have you.
Yeah, Steve.
You can change your mind. You can take it back now. I won't give you the opportunity to take it back later.
So we talked a little bit about tragic.
Take back that it's okay to have me here.
But we talked a little bit about tragic backstories. Reed, you play Steve on our -1 Charisma Chronicles and Aventide game. Let's talk about Steve's backstory a little bit.
How much can I say? I'm kidding. I don't really care.
I mean, you can say as much as you'd like or not, but we know that we found you in the middle of basically in the middle of the desert.
Right.
TRDL, right? God,
TRDL2.
TLDR.
Right?
There we go. I was like, it didn't
long?
sound right.
Reed didn't long? No.
I don't have enough coffee. There we go. I was like, man,
did
this
not
sounds
understand
wrong.
a word of
Why
that.
is it wrong?
Yeah. Before your
we
time.
found Steve, Reed's character, in the middle of the desert. He didn't want to tell anyone his name, and he was just basically on this weird, almost suicidal mission to find this lost city in hopes of something that he hasn't revealed yet.
I wouldn't say almost suicidal. I would say he was. I would say he was prepared to die.
Prepared to die.
God.
Even
so
worse.
tragic backstory.
No, not tragic backstory. I wouldn't say tragic backstory. Just self-esteem, rock bottom.
God,
that's a pretty tragic.
I just
backstory.
spit food out of my mouth. Yeah, I can relate. It's all.
Yeah, me too.
I
pulled that directly from my life.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just with little hash marks on his wrists and stuff.
Yeah. Self-conscious? Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Confidence? Who's she? I don't know her.
Never met her.
Never met her.
Sure, she's nice. Probably hates me.
Oh,
So what do you? Okay, no. Instead of going like,
I'm fine with talking about it.
Well, no, just give me the tone. When you were like, because unfortunately or fortunately, you this character had sort of existed in our universe a bit before you arrived, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you were building it from whole cloth, right? There was a framework that you were sort of working with, I'm assuming, a little bit, right?
Yeah. I mean, I remember when James like taught. I mean, I remember joining like the Discord group chat just to say hi and talk to James for an evening.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "Hey, do you want to join the campaign?" And we talked about it, and we ended up talking for like 4 hours.
Biggest
and he
mistake of your life.
Oh, I know, because I could tell he was. I think you were playing. What's the game that you're like addicted to?
Lost
Me?
Ark?
The video? No, James.
Lost Ark?
Yeah, you were playing Lost Ark while like trying to like describe to me this character. I'm pretty sure that's what you were doing.
Yeah, he can't do two things at once, so that would explain
I can't
a
do
lot.
one thing at once.
He was playing a video game while describing to you the character.
Yeah. So it's got like it's got a super tragic backstory, and
I mean, yeah, he was.
That's
He
why
was
it was
essentially.
an easy go-to. I was like, yeah, your family's fucked. Everything's fucked. You hate everything.
Yeah, that was essentially it. I mean,
Start from
you basically pitched it to me, and I don't know why, but because he was already an existing character, and you're just like getting a look at him when he was younger. I don't know why, but I got like 90s Superboy vibes, like from Reign of the Superman. If you've read that comic book, you know what I'm talking about.
I haven't, but I am familiar with like Superboy.
Superman.
Yeah, I was getting Superboy vibes because essentially he's programmed like as the same person that Clark Kent is, only he's younger and
Has
he's
a leather
irrational
jacket.
and has a leather jacket, and he looks super cool. So
He did look
that
pretty
was-
cool.
that
Superman
was the
with a
model.
leather jacket is like works way better than it should. Let's be serious.
Yeah,
All of you at home, Google's fucking Superboy because he's just sort of like, he's like a fucking greaser. He's like, but I can fly. bitch."
80s Superboy, though, right?
yeah, or
80s,
no, was it 90s?
90s, I think.
Superboy. The best part is he's got the leather jacket, and then he has
Here, look these guys
these
up.
sunglasses. You know, he's got the circle shades.
Yeah, he does.
He's flying through the air, looking pristine. I'm like, dude, if I could be you, I would. But, that's kind of the vibe I got, and I'm like,
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Right.
yeah. So the interesting thing that
Your
like
character is making way more sense to me now.
good. I sent Bobby like a whole like addendum that was just what I based Steve off of.
That's nice.
Just pulling from various sources. It was so long.
In
It
that
was
same
absurdly long.
Yeah. In that same vein, it's like I like to encourage players when it's like, because there's always that like, okay, and now this person walks up, describe yourself. I always like it when someone will be like, they don't just describe themselves, but they like use references. Because if you had been like, all right, he's in a traveling cloak and yada yada, and he looks like 90s Superboy, I would have been like, oh, I know this guy. I already know him.
I was prepared to do that, but like I could tell, like you guys already started giving me crap when I like went into my monologue, as it were. I had it all memorized. I had it written down on my iPad. I was like pulling it up. I was ready to go.
A real actor.
Yeah, and I remember Kate just started messing with me. I was like, you know what? You'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see what he looks like. You'll get it. Wait for the key art to come out, and then you'll know. Then you'll understand. Yeah, basically.
That's fair.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was interesting because like the backstory for Steve was not really backstory because he had already existed in game. So
it's floor story.
Yeah, it's floor story at that point.
Elements I think about Steve that were already in the game, but I feel like you kind of really took on the role and you took on some of the aspects of it way more than I expected. Because I only gave you like a few minor points here and there.
You gave me very minor points, and it was a lot to work with. And I'm like, I don't know how much I should be focusing on this because this is like some major shit. And I'm like, should I be focusing on this?
Yeah, it's always a fine line, right? And
Oh, yeah.
How much do I reveal and when? Anyone?
Well, that was the hardest thing because then he's like, I remember we're like, like, this is your name. The player's already met you, but they didn't meet you, if you get what I mean. And I was like, okay. And I knew, I'm like, I can't just go by my name, because that'll just spoil the whole thing. I gotta play it out, because how great of a moment would that be, not just for you guys, but for everyone who's like watching at home. I'm like, as like an entertainer, I have to, like, I gotta play it out. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Well, I mean, that's the thing. In all honesty, that's exactly what D&D is great for, because like most people, like we all, and me until recently, like worked in the entertainment industry, right? Like that's part of life, of like leaning into those sorts of things and having that experience. Most people just don't ever have that experience, not even like community theater level or high school, theater kind of thing. So it's fun to be all of a sudden be like, oh, I've got a reveal.
Exactly.
Fucking lean into it, motherfucker. Right? Like that's
you have to. It's bold. Yeah. It's like you found the buried treasure, and you're like, what do I do with it?
Exactly.
Leaning into the reveal, I like that, but I think, and this is, I think, a danger sometimes. People who have a secret will play the secret. You know what I mean? They'll be like,
I've got the secret.
Party.
I've been hiding.
I've got a secret. And
under my skin.
Like, what's your secret? And you're like, I'm not telling you. And then I feel like you spoil the secret a little bit by letting on that you have a secret in the first place. You know what I mean?
It's a fine line. It's a fine line. It can be really hard. I mean, being like it. You know what the difference is like someone who is mysterious versus someone who's trying to be mysterious.
Yeah.
I mean it like in real life. You meet somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, what are they up to? And there's other guys, that are just leather jacket on, leaning on a stoop with round sunglasses, being like, yeah.
Superboy was awesome. Leave him alone.
What am I up to?
That dude was an open book.
I think too. I think one of the big problems with Backstories, and this will be, I'll just keep it short, but like, if you're gonna have like a reveal or something like that, make it part of your character, especially if you want to keep it secret, but don't make that your whole character. Because I've played with people, and myself included, I've tried.
I think that's fair.
Like, my whole entire backstory, who I am, and everything about me is a secret, and I can't tell you. Therefore, you're never gonna get to know me, and I'm gonna be a.
Are you talking about Maeve? Are you talking about Maeve? Because it sounds like you're talking about Maeve.
It does kind of seem like that. I didn't want to say anything, but Colin kind of like let the cat out of the bag on that one.
No, but I mean, he has a very good point, because like Day was like, oh, okay, so I've got this thing that I can't really reveal because I'm on a secret mission. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, fuck. Like, how am I supposed to connect with any of these people? Yeah. Right. Like, and then you have to either be like, as the character, be like, okay, I'm going to take you all into my confidence. Right. And that can be a fun thing. But like, if no one is helping you, like, get to a point where, like, if everyone's just being resident to you, it's like, you're never going to get to the point where you can do that. Right. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm a paper mache individual. It's like,
well, here's the problem. I've seen this problem in Critical Role and in other games as well, where it's like
wisdom from the cup,
and like, but it's like you have a secret. It kind of becomes your whole personality for some reason, instead of just being like you have a secret, but you also like a lot of things, and you have a whole backstory you can talk about.
Yeah, you're still a whole human being, or orc, or whatever.
Talk about still, but like your focus is like, I have a secret. It's like this. That's all you want now. I don't know why that happens, but.
No, Bobby, that's a very good point. Like your whole life, like think about it like this. Like there are Russian spies that have been here in America for decades, right? Like,
if you're watching, you're a Russian spy. Hello.
How do you say it? It doesn't fucking matter.
Colin, there are no Russian spies in America. I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, that's
and there are
crazy.
No cats in America. Okay. But like, here's the thing: is like, that's one aspect, and then they have an entire life, right? And like, sure, at the back of their mind, they're always like, waiting on that call. Yikes. but like they still go to volleyball practice and cheer for their kid, right? And then they check the briefcase every once in a while. No telex from Russia. Okay.
I like to think of it as like
but you got a whole life.
Imagine you're having an affair, right? I'm not married, so I can say this. Imagine you're having an
James,
affair.
I have nobody. I can't imagine this at all.
Well, Reed, imagine all of us. Imagine everyone in minus one charisma is playing a whole other D&D game in secret, and you're the only one not invited.
Oof.
That would hurt.
Okay.
That would have hurt so much.
Now you can imagine.
That we can relate to.
You have an affair. That's a big thing, right? It's a very big thing. But you have an entire other life going on outside of that affair, right? And that might be one of the biggest things.
Would be.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy for that.
Well,
I don't know how people do it. I'm like,
I think
No.
You can do that?
Neither here nor there, but like, oh my God. Jesus, I can just barely wake up some days in the morning. Are you kidding me? I have two families, or like the people that have two families. I'm like, one family isn't enough for you?
Can you imagine forgetting which family you're with right at that moment? You're like, whose house am I at?
Yeah.
Jeez. If you slip, you're dead.
Oh, yeah,
But,
no.
James, to your point, though, I remember you were talking to me a lot about that because I told you that I wanted to like make the name thing, like I wanted to do something with it. And you told me that exact thing. And the reason I think it worked is from Steve's perspective, he had nothing to hide because he didn't know why it would have been a big deal. So from a metagaming perspective, yeah, I got to keep it a secret. But from Steve's perspective, he doesn't tell people his name as an insurance thing. Like, I don't want to know the first name of my like exterminator. Like, I don't want to get to know you on a personal level. Like, you're the dude who kills the mice in the house.
Terminator? Why not? What's wrong with that?
Yeah, what's the matter with him? It's a noble profession.
You want to get to know your...
It's a very noble profession, but like sometimes they're shady.
Great
and
work.
it's like, I get it.
Mine's name is Charlie,
what do you
and he
mean
kills the
you
rats.
Why are they shady?
I can't tell if you're kidding or not, honestly.
Yeah, because
But like it's that kind of thing. It's like I had an in-game reason.
He's an elitist, is what he is. Look at him there on that projector. He's too good to know the Rat Slayer.
We invited you here. Not so you can be an elitist.
It was a bad example, okay?
Can't believe.
All right,
the audacity.
What profession would change the profession? That'll fix it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Change the profession.
Well,
bank teller,
cheese salesman,
shady people.
Reed, I think you did a fantastic job of having, because like you're right, you, like the secret that you have isn't really like a secret for you because you didn't know we knew about you, but you do also have a bigger secret about your, which has been told in the story about your brother, right? So I think you've done a very good job of like having a big secret, but also your brother, right?
Here's the thing. You're not wrong, but the problem, I don't see it as a secret. Like, if anyone wanted to like ask about it in an extended like conversation, I'd be fine with talking about it. Like, it's not something that's secret. The way I've done this, and after a lot of reflection and like having conversations with James and stuff like that, I got what I got. It was vague. I didn't know a lot, and I'm just gonna leave it that way.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you exactly what I know. It's slim to none. He's like, you grew up here. Your parents, very important in Thieves Guild. One day, gone. Don't know why. Don't know if they're alive. Gone.
Parents,
They are gone. They're gone. And your brother, that gets into stuff that I haven't talked about yet. But like, there was a falling out, and now you're, by all intents and purposes, rambling man,
falling out,
running from leather daddies in the desert.
Leather daddies, baby.
Prepared to die. Like that's what it is.
It's only been revealed to Kellwise, but I think that you have done a very good job of bringing a real personality, like a real big personality, honestly, to Steve, aka Bartholomew. But I feel like he has like a really good personality with a lot of like his own his own quirks and like own things he likes to do and things he hates, and like I think you've done a good job of being an actual like character and a personality rather than just being like, oh, I have a secret, or oh, I'm the brother of a famous criminal, whatever. Like, you've done a very good job at that, I think. So
Good job acting.
Thank you.
You did good acting.
Honestly, everything you just said is complete news to me. I had no idea. I am flying by the seat of my pants 100% of the time.
Good. Good. Yeah.
The one
Only
thing
100%?
that I remember. What's that?
Is it only 100%? You can get that number higher.
This is stupid. Those rookie numbers. Gotta get those numbers up.
Get those numbers up.
200%, bro.
James, the one thing that you told me, because you wanted me not to like play the secret thing or be mysterious, because like no one likes that player. It's like the kid that you went to elementary school with, who's like you want to get to know them, or even worse. This is a better example. When you like meet someone that you like and you want to get to know them and like hang out with them and stuff like that, and they're just like shrouding their entire life from you, like intentionally trying to be mysterious, and you're like, okay, screw you. You have all these barriers. It's really hard to get to know you, and it's honestly making me like you less. It's not like attractive for you to like blatantly avoid my questioning. I just asked what your favorite color is. Like, geez. But
do you want to?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about this?
Gethron's there with us for like.
Yeah.
Reed, do you need to talk about?
Let's talk about this. You okay?
it's happened a few times. I think it's a generational thing. I think
We're here for you,
sure.
buddy. Hey,
But it's that kind of thing.
I know you're not here, but we're
Hey,
here.
Reed. It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault, Reed.
Not your fault, Reed.
Not your fault, Reed.
No, it's not
It's not
your
your
fault.
fault.
I needed to hear that.
I need you to take this in. It's not your fault.
Seriously, I needed to hear that. Oh no, I'm kidding.
No, really.
But
Not you too.
to my point,
It's not your
no one likes that person. Like, imagine if like, let's say I played Steve that way, where it's like, you guys wanted to know stuff. It's like, how'd you get the gun? Or like, what's this? What's that? And your guys asking me these questions, and I'm just like, no. Like, that's how I respond. Like, I don't tell you. Like, I just overtly avoid it. Just left turn.
It's not your fault.
Colin stopped listening about 5 minutes ago.
Maybe I should write that on my whiteboard. Just like, Cullen says it's not your fault. You're fine.
Yeah, until the FBI finds you and they're like, "Who's this Cullen guy? I told him to do it." No. I understand what you're driving at. It's a very good point. It is. It's a good point, despite my shenanigans.
Gethron does bring up a good point though. Like in high school, there were those kids. God, they were guys at the time because I was in high school, but they're just like, I don't talk about myself because it's dark.
That's what I'm saying.
And it killed. Maybe it's just because I grew up in the emo rock era, so maybe it was a little different. But like,
yeah, you're a bit of a special case. You grew up in Silicon Valley during the height of the emo
just like
craze.
Hair, like, they're like, hey man, you want to go to
We
class?
were all listening to Ocean Avenue.
I can't. Yeah,
We refused to listen to it.
and I'm just like, man, they did so well socially in high school, and they didn't have to do anything. In fact, the less they did, the more.
But also high school.
Right.
We're all emotionally just
Still in high school.
morons. Which is well, you are. You're still an emotional moron, but back then we all
I can admit to that. That's fair. Yeah.
yeah, because you're a kid. You don't know. It doesn't know better. It doesn't know.
All right.
It just feels weird. And it won't talk about himself. It's
Thought
fine.
experiment. We'll make a rogue. All right. You following?
Did you say you make a rogue, or did you just start off with naked rogue?
I heard naked rogue.
A rogue.
Right?
Yeah, okay. Naked. We make a naked rogue.
Okay.
The rogue's whole entire thing going with this party is not to reveal anything about himself, but every time he accidentally or she accidentally does, it's a gotcha from the group. So the whole group's dynamic now turns into, like, I think you'd have to lean into it comically hard to be like, no, I do not talk about my past. No one will know anything about me. No, I go on this adventure for my own reasons, and I stick to myself.
Okay.
Could be fun.
Could be fun. Could be incredibly annoying.
Knowing how
It entirely depends on the table.
I was gonna say, knowing how I feel about people like that in the real world, that character would die in the first session. Steve would pull out a gun and shoot him point blank.
I feel like
through
if you
nose.
could lead with a comedy in that. Make it fun. I think there's a way to make it fun. I think that's the big problem.
Yeah, it's just
fun
it would just be. I think it would be a very fine needle to thread.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something someone brand new should ever attempt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that should be your like 50th character is the character that will not reveal its backstory no matter what at any cost. Like that's some high level. That's some high level.
And I think it's important here not to we're not saying never to have secrets. We're saying that it's good to have secrets, but don't make it your entire personality. And also, when it comes to tragic backstories, the one time that I've seen that work out really well, where it was extremely, extremely dramatic and tragic, was because it was tragic, but that story that they had led into a whole arc for the entire party to go on together.
Right.
And he's talking about Critical Role. You are 100% talking about Critical Role.
He's always.
You're talking about Percy. You're talking about Percy in the first campaign.
He never stops talking about Critical Role.
He's the only one who liked that arc that they made an entire Amazon series about.
That was the best arc out of all of the arcs.
Whatever, man.
And one arc to rule them. But that's a good point, though. It's if it's something everyone can get behind, right? Mm-hmm. But you got to remember, there was still a lot. It wasn't just the everyone is dead that I love. It was more of there's a whole world there still to explore and for the DM to exploit, right? It wasn't just a fucking, I just left behind a farm in ashes, man. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? There was a city or a town or whatever you want to call it left and a return of the king, as it were. You know what I mean? They fucking just plagiarized Lord of the Rings. Let's be serious.
I will not care. That's the thing. It's blatant and you can see it when they do it, and it's listen, what you're doing, it worked.
I love it.
Back in 2003 when Aragorn did it, and I cried for a week afterwards.
And damn you, but yes, keep doing it, please.
Yeah. But here's where it's not fun is if you have a secret and then you on your own individually keep going off and being hey DM, I want to go off my own and try to explore this secret on my own.
No, you can't do that.
It's oh my gosh, dude,
that's the last thing.
Game.
Yeah.
Second time you did that,
it's really the trick to a good secret, I think, is to find a way to make all the players at your table
a part of it.
Not in on it, but a part of it.
Yeah,
or its
but a part of it.
Right. In some way. Right.
It has to become the secret cannot exist in my mind. It can't exist in a fashion that it can't not become the group's secret, right? The group's thing. It has to be something that you reveal and you're look, I'm not proud of this, or look, this is my shitty situation. And it has to be something that it can be rallied around. Right. And it has to be ideally something that can be solved. Once again, if it's just something tragic, just orcs came, nobody's left. And also the orcs left. So it's well, what do we do about that? It's nothing. I'm just a hollow shell of a man for forever now. It's well,
great.
You want a cupcake? We can.
Yeah.
It's the group can't help that unless they're we're gonna come after the orcs and then we're gonna find a couple of towers. It's gonna be great.
Then it's just it's just a whole campaign on it's just blatant orc racism at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be serious. Not all orcs are bad.
No, not at all.
Probably.
I have yet to.
Depends on your setting. Exactly. Yeah.
Don't trust those Minas Morgul orcs. They're shady.
Mm.
No, I'm kidding.
That's
fair. James using Steve as an example again. I remember you told me you asked me what's your reason for staying with the group? You have this whole story, but why choose honestly the worst group in the world to travel around the world with?
That's fair. Yeah.
That's fair. It's hard to get fair.
And I would concede that for the most part, but then again, he could have been on Captain Riptide's ship, and that ship was full of miscreants.
Yeah,
That would have been.
that's a good word. Those guys, shit heels is what I would have called them. But yeah,
Yeah, he could be stuck with Inkson for the rest of his life. So just
God.
Well, I
For the rest of Inkson's
thankfully
short
didn't know
life.
about that, but I remember like you kind of left it up to me, and I liked the idea of like, despite the fact that he's like becoming an adult and has all these years of experience stealing and murdering and overthrowing governments and just like being like a terrible person morally, he has no like family dynamic, and that's all he wants. Like that's motivation to stay with a group. And
That's
so
right.
now you have that, and then you have a whole element of vulnerability.
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you
Now
going to
when I
show
start
that
trying
at
to
some point?
Split the group up.
That's the plan. I mean, everything that you've seen so far
Oh my god.
has been like genuinely everything that you've seen so far has been a front 100%.
Just yeah. Okay. Cool.
He's
What you're saying is you've been
I don't know
lying
if it's
to
a
the
front,
group.
it's a
and
layer.
You've had secrets this whole
Layer.
time. And you haven't
No,
let
Like
anybody
it's
know.
an onion or like an ogre.
Yeah, you're like yeah, Steve is an ogre.
He makes
Ogre
you
has
cry,
layers.
you cut him.
Yeah, basically, I mean that the gambling addict, trigger happy, pyromaniac is true, but that's surface. That's all up here. Deeper down, you're like, this is a dude who has
Deeper
like.
down, he's also addicted to meth.
Where's my character?
Aventine definitely has meth. I'm sure. It's called.
It's
core.
somewhere. But like,
called core.
yeah, he's got like abandonment issues, and he's
Sure.
misguided, and it's all that stuff. And so I
That'd
can
be fun to-
like that stuff that can be played. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just like I hate all orcs. It's like, okay, real world, that's absolutely a thing. But like when you're sucks.
Real
It's fair.
world? Hating all orcs is a thing?
You don't hate all orcs?
No.
No. Do you want to talk about something?
No, there's nothing to talk about. I just hate him.
Yeah.
I apologize
I'm
to the
gonna
orc
make a
community who
name
might be
for it.
watching this at home.
I would love to if we could just cut to like a cave somewhere in the orcish Arctic, and they're all just like, "Fuck this guy." I was on board
Unfollow
up until this
-1 charisma. Hey, Amazon, give me my
See you on the
Twitch sub
internet,
back.
we're gonna find this guy. I swear. Who's this Cullen guy?
One reimbursed sub. I'm so sorry.
and then another one just grabs him by the shoulder. He's like, "No, that's how tragic backstories start. Don't keep the cycle going."
Well, yeah. I mean,
It's being hateful on the internet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
don't do it. Yeah. Don't do it.
Yeah, no, I see you. I see you over there.
Don't do it.
No, but I mean, I'm kind of with you guys in that, like, all like the pop culture media we consume these days, like, if you're a main character, you probably have a tragic backstory, most likely.
Yeah.
And it's like it's become kind of passe in a way, unless it's like written well, unless it's
Yeah.
like, oh my god, like that's wow, that like blows doors on tragedy.
So
That's the tragic backstory that makes me feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And so
few and far between.
that's
What
why I
are
just
some,
kind of
like,
left it
I
all
guess-
up to James.
What are some examples of non-tragic characters who go on like Frodo? I think is like he doesn't really have a tragic backstory.
Yeah.
I would say,
actually
I would
got
say
a pretty-
Frodo and Bilbo.
Yeah.
Like Bilbo was sitting in his house smoking
Yeah, they're
and
just
like
bored,
eating fish, and then a bunch of dwarves showed up and they're like, "Yo, we're gonna go on a road trip. You're coming. Cool." And he's
Who
like,
invited you?
"Okay, fine." Like,
That was
Get
the
out
other
of
thing
my
too.
character, though.
Generally, like script writing 101, you want to make the hero choose to go on the journey, right? It's got to be the hero's choice, or else like you're like, well, then the story's just happening to him. But The Hobbit,
Well, the reluctant hero is can be fun, right?
yes, but
Can
Bilbo like just kind of got swept up and taken And I was like, huh.
Well, I
He
mean,
was kidnapped. Bilbo Baggins was kidnapped by dwarves.
It worked because he was such a fish out of water, I think.
Was Gandalf not even there then? Wait, did Gandalf
was
show up
there
before he left?
Gandalf supervised it.
Yeah, but he showed up later, right?
True. Yeah, he wasn't there for the whole dinner party.
I think the lesson is if a dwarf knocks on your door past bedtime,
answer it.
Don't answer him.
Because they will eat all your food, they will drink all your alcohol, they'd smoke all your tobacco, use your kitchen as like a battle planning room.
Yeah. Throw like sharp frisbees around.
Yeah, and then you'll wake up and your house will be trashed.
Yeah. And this huge dude with a beard will be like, you've been evicted. And you're like, I think I still own this place. And he's like, get outside. I'm like, God, you're so mean to me, but for some reason, you're still my friend. Let's go.
Here's a very long contract that makes us not responsible for any dangers that become you.
Yeah. I also lied to all these people about you, so just stay up on that lie. Yeah. Not Gandalf. Here's a hot take. Not a great friend.
No.
At the beginning.
No. Absolutely. He comes in a pinch.
Even halfway through though, he's dying. As far as they're concerned, he's hanging on the bridge of Bradagdur or whatever it's called, and he calls them, he insults them with his last breath.
He just says,
his last word,
"You fools!
You fools!
You fools!"
So you think after that happened, they got out of the cave and they're like, "Did he just call us fools?"
Man, yeah, that's why they were really crying. That's why they were really crying.
Exactly.
They liked him.
Half the party had known Gandalf. 45 minutes. They were like,
having said that though, if I'm hanging out with a bunch of my friends and all of a sudden I'm about to die, what a great way. Just be like, fuck you all
last time.
Yeah, just one last time.
Zinger,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The train's coming for you and you're just like, whoo! Fucking legend. Fucking legend.
I mean, you're right. I mean, Gandalf would relentlessly harass Pippin and Merry throughout Two Towers to Return to the King. Relentlessly.
I mean, they did deserve some of that shit, though. They were some shitty kids. Let's be serious. They were adults, but they were shitty kids.
Yeah, they were going through Farmer. They went through Farmer Maggot's crop. You can't do that.
You don't do that.
It's common knowledge, man. You stay out of his farm.
God, it's fucking stupid.
But I think because it's true. It's a lot of most heroes have a tragic backstory, obviously. But I think in D&D, because you're playing in a party, you're not the main character. You need to make your backstory tragic a little bit. It's good to have things to work off of, but not too tragic where it's oh, I'm the main character. It's well, no, there's a whole party of people here.
Yeah, you can't have main character syndrome. That's a good point.
Yeah.
You can't.
Spotlight sharing is so key.
You aren't the main character.
Right.
You are one of the main characters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is always an ensemble. So that is a big. I think that's a big. That is a big mindset change for some people who go in and be I'm going to be a hero. We are going to be heroes, and I feel like that group mentality can almost help you. Instead of you trying to push the party somewhere, you can try and bring the party with you somewhere.
Because I will be king, and you will be queen, but we be heroes. Just one day. What's that? Copyright strike? For spoken word?
First of all,
go ahead. You've got your hand on your head.
Screw you for that one. That was horrible. I hated that. Second of all, is it weird both playing in both your campaign, Colin, and then in Aventide? Is it weird that I've never seen the players as main characters ever?
That's good, I think.
Meaning,
that's good.
Here's what I mean by that.
Really, or as a party?
Yeah. Tell me.
Meaning,
use your words.
Okay, I will. When you have there's a whole thing about main characters, the stigma. It's the main character's motivation matters above everyone else's. And you're like, okay, because then you're just like prioritizing yourself over everyone else. Mm-hmm. Whenever I play D&D,
a real Gandalf.
Yeah, exactly. When I play D&D, that all goes away, and I have to face the idea that like even like NPCs, like every single one of these characters has motivations. They have their own stories, just like this is how I hope people act in the real world.
Yeah.
There is no main character. Is
there a name for that experience? I think there is. It's like when you're just like driving on the highway, especially in LA, it would happen to me because the highways are just fucking packed, right? It's just people everywhere. And like every once in a while, it's like a fucking like spirit bomb would just hit me in the head. And I'd look around and I'd be like, every single one of these people has a life just as complicated and relevant to them as my own.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And the more you think about that, the more it just makes me want to vomit because I'm just like, whoa.
That is how I treat my D&D games, even if it's an NPC, if it's a hope on the road or a
needs murdering.
Or it's a what is it? The house in a casino who's like blatantly cheating me. Yeah. Just because I'm like inches away from shooting him and stealing everything, I'm still like, this guy has a story. He has a life. He might have a family. I don't care. I'm going to shoot him.
He was an untouchable, so he didn't have a life.
Oh, nice.
Oh, good. Less consequences for me. But like
he's just waiting to dissolve into the nothing.
But like
convenient.
You get it, right? Like when you go into like main character mode, you're automatically prioritizing yourself over everyone else.
Yeah. And I mean it's. No, go ahead.
You kind of do that like with friends and things like that. Like I care more you guys and your needs versus like who's ever living across the street from me because I don't know them.
Well, I mean, it's the most human of
right.
It's just what we do. Exactly.
But like a main character thing kind of can lead people to have like a certain entitlement.
Sure.
To how they play, and I want to avoid that.
And I think that's like the sign of a generous player, right? Like being like generous not only to everyone at the table and not only to the DM, but like to the world that you're all creating together, right? Like the more stock you put in the fact that the horseshoe boy over there just bending horseshoes, you know, without the aid of fire, just a hammer. Like the more you just like look at him and go like, fuck, that sucks. You know, and internalize the fact that like, man, someone should tell him what a forge is. You know, like that just, it builds the world, right? Because all of a sudden you're like, why are you doing that? Like you just walk up to him and you're like, go to the blacksmith. He's got the tools, you know? Oh shit. And then you find out like, oh, the blacksmith's dead. It was his dad, right? But he never taught him. He didn't teach him how fire works.
So he's just hitting things with a hammer until they move.
Yeah, you know, and it's tragic.
Wow, that's actually really sad now. I'm like, I wish that was a character. That would have been a great character.
Yeah.
The more you buy into it, the more you think and empathize with the NPCs and also your other players, and to bring it full circle back to the villains, the more you can sort of look at the villain and go, oh, okay, maybe that's why they're doing that. I don't agree with it, but I can at least understand it. Yeah.
Those are my favorite villains.
Yeah, exactly. Same.
I mean,
same.
Like, here's a weird example. I'm going to do what I always do. And James, I feel like you're going to see this coming a mile away. We're going to go to Star Wars. We're going to talk about that.
You don't say.
Oh, man.
I've already triggered him. I've already set him up.
You already saw what happened when we went to Star Wars around James the other day. We talked for like 3 hours.
We talked 3 hours critiquing things in Star Wars. But I digress. Sidious is a big bad I don't get. Like, I don't understand his motivation. I don't understand where he's coming from. I've never been able to understand.
Read the Darth Bane series, and I'll give you a theory.
I have, and I still
You read the Darth Bane books?
I did. I just was. It still didn't occur to me. It didn't latch on to me.
Last scene in the last book of Darth Bane, the Darth Bane saga, changes the whole
irrelevant.
Star Wars
We're talking
forever.
televised and or film content only. Just for now. Humor me.
I don't think we needed to know Darth Sidious and his whole thing. Because
That's what I'm
Darth
saying.
Vader. Darth Vader was the main big bad. Darth Sidious was just a tool for telling Darth Vader's story.
That was my point. Is like Palpatine is the big bad who just wants to kill everyone and control everything. I'm like, okay. But then you have the Anakin Skywalker story and you're like, oh, there's so much there. And once you get why he's doing what he's doing, you're like, oh, and then it just hurts you because it's tragic. I prefer that than like a dude who just wants to kill everyone. Because it's like, who hurt you? Why?
Yeah, well, it's back to what we were saying about like, how am I supposed to relate to that? Like, how at all am I supposed to be like, yeah, just like that time when I was like, everyone should die, all of them. It was like, no, like most people they don't have that. That's not a thing.
I would hope all people don't have that, but unfortunately, it's just not the case.
Unfortunately.
Right.
What'd you say?
I said evil for evil's sake is just not a compelling.
Well, that's kind of Voldemort still too, right? Like he's just evil, right?
I actually had it on my list.
I never really liked Voldemort.
That's a good point. What was
Voldemort
his? He was just.
I don't think he was a great villain because
He was just power hungry, I guess.
Yeah.
What was he? His mom was slighted by a rich guy. It's like, well, then just go become Jeff Bezos. Yeah, not everyone has to die.
Have your Lex Luthor arc. Just do that. Yeah. No, but then you have characters like Professor Snape, who's like a conflicted character, and you're like, okay, if you went bad, I would get it, but at the same time, don't do that, please. Don't do that.
Yeah, just don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't do that.
all right.
No, but
Harry Potter is tricky though.
Yeah. They're fun to read, but now I'm thinking about it. It's like Voldemort is kind of just like
white bread.
Well, a little. A little. He's just like bad for bad's sake. Almost.
Okay, well that's one of the easiest places to have that happen though, because if you're like a wizard, right? It's so easy to be like, oh, I want all the power. I want all of it.
Yeah. You're speaking from experience.
Why?
Dark soon.
Why do you
just wait?
But why do you want all the power? That's the thing. I never got that. I'm like,
yeah, I guess.
Look at all the other wizards. They seem satisfied with where they're at. They're learning, they're coming up with new stuff, but they don't have a power complex.
Because what happened? His mom got fucked over by the rich guy, right? And he was an orphan boy, not being feasted on. And all of a sudden he's just like, well, now I've got power. And I'm just going to beat the shit out of everyone. Yeah. Or not just everyone will die.
That's why I was such a mirror, because
he just wanted
very similar life to Harry, right? Where he's he was an orphan and grew up in environment. And
Yes. That's true. But still. No, wait. Refresh my memory. Did he want everyone dead, or did he just want all the Muggles subjugated?
I think he wanted Muggles. He wanted Muggles dead, but he wanted Muggles and
Mudbloods dead.
Yeah, hey, that is a slur in the wizard world.
I know.
So watch yourself.
I use it on purpose.
Okay, but he wanted them dead. But if you're a true blood wizard, follow him. I'm like, okay.
But I mean, here's the thing is how many of them are there? In all honesty, how many wizards are really on the earth? And I feel like the books didn't do a great job of describing how many there are. You know what I mean? The castle is very large.
But there's a scope of
there's three main schools, right? There's three main schools that we know about, at least, or in this conference, there's three schools. And Harry's grade had fewer because everybody was being killed by Voldy. Is that what we're led to believe? Because there's like 18 kids in his class or something like that.
Harry
like
Potter
that's all.
Well, it starts as 18 and then by the end it's like 5.
Yeah. And they don't all survive. It's wizarding stuff. It's tough.
Well, I would say this too, like, and it's, I don't think, and you don't even need your big bad.
But let me just finish my point though. It's like, he wanted to rule like 200 people. He wanted 7 billion dead and to rule like 200. I'm like,
well, when you put
everyone gets their own country?
When you really
fuckers are going to be lonely.
The whole thing. I mean,
no, it's fine.
Don't think it out like that.
Okay, I won't. James, you were saying?
No, I was just going to say, the stakes wise too, I think, I have this big problem where I try and make the stakes always too high and they don't need to be. With the example of, I would
little
bring
stakes,
villain,
baby stakes.
Nurse Ratched, right?
Sure.
To me, a great, compelling villain. Villain, I guess, right? From someone's point of view, but like, in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but like Nurse Ratched isn't trying to like become president of the United States or take over the entire world or you know what I mean? Or become like the Tsar of Canada.
No, just the czar of the mental institution. Yeah.
And it's like a small domain kind of thing. And those stories can be really intimate and fun. I think that's why you like low level play, is because you get to have those intimate moments where like.
Well, yeah, because it's when you've got a level 15 wizard that's just like, I'll just eviscerate this whole town right now. That's how I'll solve this problem. It's like, it's very tough to have someone who's like, this is my court and I am in charge here. And they're like, I'll fucking burn it to the ground. I won't even think about it. I'll regenerate the spell slot in a short rest, fucker. It's like, oh man. Oh, Lord.
The confidence is overwhelming.
Yeah. Jeez Louise. But yeah, that's why I like the lower level play, because you can have sort of those more intimate kind of bad people. Sometimes well, and also like your players can relate more to a smaller stakes incident than, well, unfortunately now we're all becoming a little more familiar with like the world ending, but like up until a few years ago, that was just imaginary stuff.
Steve has yet to get what you guys mean when you talk about that, by the way. Like in game, like metagame wise, I get it all. James has talked to me about it, but like no one has talked about this to him.
Yeah. He's not in yet.
He's just unhinged and confused all the time.
Yeah. Well, ask some questions.
What if the Grinch were a level 15 wizard?
Yeah.
Yes.
It kind of was.
With their
right? Like, despite all the
and
things
their
that happen all the time.
slaying and their carving of roast beast.
I cast instant Eldritch Blast.
Right. From my mountaintop.
That no one can hit. No one can hit it. Just him, just sniping people with Eldritch Blasts and magic missiles. Just
Yeah. And his dog that he kicked.
Full circle.
That's really all you need.
He is the dog kicker.
Oh, God.
All right. Well, with that, I think
we go. That's a good note to end it on.
Ended on kicking dogs.
Friday night. Thanks everyone for hanging out. This has been fun. We're gonna be back on Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific. We just got Trust back, but then we lost Day. So see what happens in our.
I have no idea what we're gonna do now.
Gonna have some good fun.
I mean, you guys had a lot of pressure. So as we talked about earlier, again, bringing it back. A little R&R time. Maybe a little time.
We have the beach volleyball episode.
Man,
I'm not even kidding.
It would have to be lake volleyball.
That's fine. That's fine. Lakes have beaches.
Lakes have beaches, yeah.
Yeah. All you need is sand and water, baby.
Yeah.
And
all right,
fucking slow-mo. Slow-mo, sand,
volleyball.
and wrist wraps. All right.
Also Kenny Loggins music.
Kenny Loggins, yeah. Just
Kenny Loggins. In the background is just the ghost of Kenny Loggins in game.
You're like, oh no, Kenny Loggins, why are you here? No.
Shit's about to get real. You know, if Kenny Loggins shows up, shit's about to get real. All right, memorize his face, people. Okay.
Both with the beard and without the beard, know who you're looking for.
You don't know. Shit could get real and you won't be ready. Is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, with that tangent, everybody, please take care of yourself, take care of each other, have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time on Minus One Charisma. See you later, everybody.
Hey guys, it's Bobby from the Cup. If you enjoyed DM Office Hours, check out our D&D campaign. It's on every Monday at 7 p.m. on twitch.tv/MinusOneCHA. Or just watch DM Office Hours every Friday at 6 p.m. Take care. I'll just hang out here.